Hello, friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I will be reading from chapters 31 through 33 of Dark World Light Work very soon. And those are the chapters where I become homeless. And for the next many, many chapters, that it will be about that journey. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory on my life at the time. When I was made homeless. If you've been following along, you can see that there was a lot of adversity that was coming for me during this time from every angle I could possibly imagine. And there was a moment where I could have either snapped or recognized that this was a test from God. And that moment was when, in the midst of all of the drama that was occurring from outside sources, the check engine light came on in my car. And I was saving up to get the engine problem fixed when I was made homeless. I wasn't able to fix the engine problem, and I didn't realize until I went to register the car the next year that the check engine light meant that it would fail a smog. And because it failed a smog, I wasn't able to register it. So I was driving around in an unregistered car that now had become my home. And also, if you've been following along, you would see that shortly before I was made homeless, I was falsely arrested. And after the first court proceedings I went to were a farce, I decided that I wasn't going to go back. And so there was also an active bench warrant out for me at the time. So for the next 5 years, I drive around pretty much. There's nuances to this story that you have to read, but I drive around in a car that not only has no registration, but it's attached to someone with an active bench warrant. And that was an act of God. The part where I was moved not to go back to the proceedings, that was an act of God. And the part where the car is made now illegal, that was an act of God as well. And it made me a target. The entire time I was a target, a sitting duck, basically a bait car for anybody in law enforcement, in the justice system that wanted to get in on this mess. If they touched me, if they looked at my license plate and decided they wanted to pull me over, they would be locked in to this very, very dark deed. And one time they did take the bait, and it ended up being a Operation Trojan Horse situation. You can read about it in the book. But that's when I knew. That's when I knew, like, I was like, no man could have that much power. I'm a sitting duck for 5 years in this car with no registration and an active bench warrant, just waiting for any cop, anybody in law enforcement to run those tags and bring themselves into this mess. And that was the most interesting part of it the whole time. And like a couple of people came close every once in a while, but most of the time I was in California and people minded their own business. You know what I mean? And the one time that I was messed with there, it had nothing to do with my registration. A guy was just being nosy, probably because he thought I was cute. And that brought a whole new group of people in the justice system in a whole new state into the situation. And that was fascinating too, because it was a social experiment at some point. And I ended up really being like a secret shopper. Like, imagine an innocent person going through the justice system where you're supposed to be treated innocent and seeing how people are actually treated. That part became fascinating on a societal level. And I'm very, very excited to present that part, especially to the world, in my debut memoir, Dark World Light Work. And that's just a little insight of how I was rolling when I was rolling. All right. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.